Hi, everyone. Welcome to International Women's Day's celebration. This year, we are playing Ignite Your Goals Bingo. For the past few weeks, I have been on fire. Weeks ago, a friend, Nonia Collier, who is actually with us today, shared something with me. And what she shared was really, really, really inspirational. What I found after that first week of looking at what she shared, I mapped out a few of my goals into the framework that she shared. And from there, what I noticed was I was doing things that I had not had the same energy about before. Within a couple days, I realized that I was making phone calls that I intended to make but didn't make. Within a couple days, I realized that I was clearing out clutter from my inbox that had been sitting there for a really long time. I'm talking about that drafts folder that just grows and grows and grows. And then I thought about something. I said, this year's celebration of International Women's Day is give to gain. So I thought if this framework supported me so much in just a few days where I was feeling lighter every single day, I wondered what it could do for other people. So I put together this International Women's Day Give to Gain Ignite Your Goals bingo for that reason. And so, what I'm hoping to accomplish today is to have you guys ignite whatever it is that might be on your bucket list, whatever it is that it is March of this year and you haven't activated, and you might even be feeling deflated about because it actually hasn't moved forward at all. I'm hoping that today you can think through those small things that aren't so small because when they're not done, they cause really serious issues. So I'm Farnia Fresnel. I'm the president of the Lenserf Group, and what we do is we support leaders and teams in expanding their perspectives so they grow their capacity and make better decisions more sustainably. So today I'm really, really, really excited to introduce a friend and really, really talented product expert with a creativity that is unbounded. She has created so many incredible games, so many incredible products. And I am proud to welcome her here to join us and it help us to ignite some of our goals. So with that, Nonia, I'd love for you just to take a second and introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for your time and for this group because, on paper, on my resume, I have built really amazing products working at marketplaces like Indeed, eBay, and PayPal. I have really tried in my life to also stay very involved with my family and my community, and I've found that every year when it comes to setting big goals, I bring a lot of excitement to it, but also sometimes that comes with a lot of overwhelm.
Mhm.
Or how do I get this done for some of the things that are really important to me? And what I've really found is that, like, starting with frameworks that are known to both match, like program our brain for success,
Mhm.
is really important, and games are a big part of that, and I'll go through that in just a second. But I want to start off with also just honoring this space and this group, honoring that, particularly in celebration of women, we are carrying so many things, both the things that are already in our lives, the commitments, the habits, our health, and also all that we want for the future, all that we want for the people and the spaces that we really care about. And that's heavy work.
Mhm.
That can feel like a lot sometimes.
I was just going to lean into something you
Yeah.
shared there because carrying weight. And I wanted to just touch on one thing. A lot of times we don't think of the things that we want as being weight. We just feel like it's something that's undone. But the way it sits on us is one more thing. It's like every time something is undone, or
Yep.
every time we have one more thing that is
Yep.
in our orbit, we slow down. It's like attaching, clips to you, and then you have this long line of stuff behind you that you're dragging
Oh,
along every time. So it gets heavy, really, 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 really heavy. And it doesn't matter what those things are, they just become heavy. And that leads to decision fatigue, which is draining.
yep,
Draining.
absolutely.
So yeah, so let
Absolutely.
me just transition. I will transition the slide. Let's see where we are here. And we're going to begin our bingo experience today. So if you guys are with us now, I'm just going to invite you to drop heavy in the chat if you've experienced heavy. So we just want to make sure that the chat is working and that we can see if you have any questions. I just invite you to drop something in the chat if you are in fact there and with us and have ever felt any sense of heavy. All right, Nonya, I'm going to begin the transition. And I loved this. We don't
Yeah.
have the animation, but I'll begin the transition and share that.
Yeah, well, first I want to just start off like we want to give you a round of applause.
Mm,
So, because what I want to celebrate is we are winning.
mm,
We are winning. We are winning today compared to the goals that we maybe dreamed about 5 years ago. And we're going to put it into the future just by
mhm,
doing it right now, giving ourselves a round of applause that we're in the progress of winning. We are expectant of our winning. And this is really not just about winning at one goal or one thing, but this is winning at life. We're winning at the life that we want, the areas of agency that we have.
mhm.
So, yeah, congratulations, you've won. I mean, like, what comes to mind is like, Oprah, you get a car, you get a car, you've won. And I want to start off with that because that is a big part of this of what we're about to do with this game is we've won. We're
Mm,
putting it up there up front that winning is in our agency and we're celebrating it now and we're in progress to that already. And yeah, I told you a little bit about myself. So, innovation in tech has been my career, but outside of that, I have been an improv comedy instructor, and that's really led me to study what the science of games and how games can help rewire our brain
mhm,
towards success. Outside of that, I'm an investor, so I'm trying to find ways to get more done that take less of my time. And all of this often has led me feeling very overwhelmed with the things, how do I get from A to Z, 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 Z in my life? But I would say that I've tried a lot of the traditional goal setting. I have tried setting 8-11 atomic habits that involve getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I have tried. I'm like, I have tried, and that doesn't work for me. Um, I have tried 30, 60, 90s that make me feel like I'm, on some type of like probation in my life. And oftentimes can feel a little restrictive of looking just at one goal or one area, but I don't feel like are as well rounded for a fulfilling life that is not solely about one fixing one area in a very limited and constrained amount of time. And so I want to find a framework that worked better. And so what I've found in terms of cheat codes, and again, I wanted to start with what is research backed to work? What do we know works? One is something that aligns to who who you want to be, who I want to be, who you want to be. And what I mean by that is aligns to values, aligns to identities that you want to embody. So not just about, a task that you want to complete as one thing, but the person that you want to be, the embodiment of, if you were to say my future self is my hero, well, who is that person? Who is that future self? Second, I wanted a system that had continual reinforcement because I think a lot of times when it comes to goal setting, particularly if you set really ambitious goals and then 1 week into it, in the back of your mind, there's this is too hard, this isn't working. And so I was like, I want something that every single day I'm getting more reminders. This is working. I am getting closer.
Absolutely.
This a reminder that it is progress made.
Absolutely.
And
Nonia, I'm just going to hop in right here and say, every year when people start the year, they set goals or whatever, New Year's resolutions, and then there's actually a day called Quitter's Day.
yeah,
And we started something, and this is the point when you stop.
yeah.
So that continual reinforcement is like, why are people stopping? Why? Did it get hard? Did something else happen? So I love the continual reinforcement.
Yeah, and I think with that is this like, if we want to have moments, just like we started our round of applause in the beginning. We want to have multiple moments of rounds of applause, areas that feel like, yes, I did it. And the more that we can bring that into this, the more that like that's actually part of making it easier as it goes along. The third thing is, I wanted something that would program our brains to succeed.
Mhm.
And again, I think there's a lot of science that goes behind why games work. Just as a little nerdy tidbit, one of the reasons that humans have such developed brains, how we have made it to as far as we have in terms of the food chain, is that we spend more time in play than any other species.
Yeah.
And what play does, and particularly what games do, it becomes a safe environment to achieve an objective.
Mhm.
Here's an analogy. Um, if I were to say, um, as soon as you walk into that room, I'm going to throw a bunch of balls at you. It might hurt a little bit. It's kind of like, what are you about to do? If I say, we're about to play dodgeball, and the rules of dodgeball are there are some balls that are going to come towards you, and the objective is to not get hit. And if you catch a ball, then the other person's out. And then if I set up, here's the container, and here's the structure, and here's the objective, and you can win.
Mhm.
Just laying
You
that
can
out,
win.
you can win dodgeball. All of those things allow our brain to go out of fight or flight, and actually is like, ooh, dopamine, ooh, it's actually allowing us to lower that fear, lower that defense mechanisms, and instead our brain is programmed to achieve,
Mhm.
to reward all these things that actually help us be more successful.
Mhm.
So again, nerdy background, but the cheat codes are, if we put this into our goal setting, then we are more likely to be successful. So let's get to the fun.
I
Okay.
like it. I like it. What I heard was if you make it fun, you make it sticky, and you're likely to keep on doing it. So I'm just going to repeat that. If
Yeah.
you make it fun, it gets sticky, and you are likely to stick with it. Okay,
Amen.
Nonia, let's go.
Yep. So we are going to set up a bingo card that looks very much like this. It is a blank card.
There we go.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do is we'll put our goals in here. So for example, some of mine are things like um, get to advanced beginner in tennis. I am at beginner in tennis. But I also have big areas like fall in love, buy a business. Um, I have go to a cardiologist this year. If you are a cardiologist in the Philadelphia area, hit me up. Fall in love. I am taking referrals. I would love it. I'm a wonderful person, so please introduce me. Yeah, I have big goals. I have small goals. I have things from a range of areas in my life. But what I could say is, since I've started doing this, I have been having my most fiery year yet. I have already, let's see, I've completed 4 items in the past month. I don't have the traditional 5 down or 5 across yet, Right now, they're all across the board. But what that sets up is what I love about bingo and what I love about life is there's multiple ways to win this game. It's not just one way to win it. You don't have to stay on the straight path. Again, the 30, 60, 90. You don't have to just do one thing a certain way. There's literally 13 ways to win on the traditional bingo card. And so, yeah, I would, I think if anything, as we go through this, you'll see ways that you can make this in your own life.
Noni, just as you were talking about small things and even the doctor's appointment, because I think about what happened to me when you shared this framework. And it ignited something in me. And then this was my bingo card. Like I started drafting it out. And what I found was that there were so many things that I didn't give myself permission to think about
Yep.
in the past, because again, they were just hidden or just like in the back or just weighing on me that there's something I have to get done. I just can't find the time to do it. Things was in fact doing this, was going live. There were
Mhm.
2 years ago when I actually decided I was going to try to do this thing and I didn't do it. And then come to find out, like, okay, well, give the gain. Why not do this and
Yeah.
combine it? So there were so many things that were on my list that I have even been able to cross off simply because I knew I was going to show up here today with you and talk about this thing. So
Yeah.
I am a testament that this thing is working.
So we're going to jump into everyone creating their bingo card. I'd say generally this can take like 10 minutes, maybe more or less, depending on, if you want to do this with people or just your own creative process. So, first, just start out with creating an outline. And this outline is for creating a fulfilling year for you. I'd say rather than before we jump into whole SMART goals and measurable, let's just come up with the big categories that we want to represent, 3 to 5. Here's a couple examples. If you want to do work, play, love, health, that's one from designing your life. Maybe you want to have some that's about doing goals and also areas of like rest. Or I love this one. If you have ever taken on just this like who do I aspire to be, or kind of the alter egos of your life, Beyonce, Oprah, Megan the Stallion, and Serena. My personally were for I did 5 categories. One was safe but important, all the adulting stuff that I traditionally procrastinate, milestones and habits. So, like some areas where I was like, yeah, like getting to advanced beginner in tennis means I have to go to several beginner classes in tennis in order to get there. Fun and adventurous, just the like some things that I have also been putting off that I know would be a good time, but would represent a fulfilling year for me. And then swing big. There are some things like I don't know how this is gonna happen, but it would represent a big year for me. So let's put it on the card.
Mhm.
And then I did a wild card category. You do not need to do a wild card, but I also felt like, hey, this is a game, so it's totally fine to create what feels game like for you. Um,
Noni, I just want to call out somebody put in the chat. So this is going to be fun. I better articulate a few more goals. Now, I hope, Carrie, that you were able to, with this quick description, able to think about a couple different categories of things that may not be at top of mind necessarily. I like the idea of a wild card, things that aren't top of mind, and you just give yourself permission to be that big and that different.
yeah, and I would add to that like when it comes, I think it's helpful to start with the categories first and then play with items within the category because for example, I'm if you know that there's major areas of your life or if there's kind of like major kind of like concepts that you want to work on, I think that really helps then when we move on to the next steps that you can get a bit more detailed. I call
Mhm.
this safe but important, but really what it represented to me is that like I wanted to be a better COO for my life. I wanted to be better at being a person who was more proactive and took more initiative with adulting and took it as, again, like I said, like an identity. Like my identity is I'm already on top of this. I'm already ahead of this. And when I thought about what would that identity look like, this like boss level COO of my life, it was submitting my taxes on time. And I'm like, it's not that I mean, clearly I don't love submitting my taxes, but I was like, that identity, who would that person, what would that person do? This future COO of Nonya Collier, that future COO would submit their taxes on time and not get an extension. And I'm in the process of doing that right now. So, yay. Um, But think about what that looks like for you. Again, like the habits and milestones. If there's certain things where you're like, I want to get to doing this 10 times, or I want to get to the next level, you can represent that. I think it actually was a way to bring in some atomic habits, but
Mm,
not make I knew there was some things in the fulfilling year for me that weren't just about habits, that were about these things that might be very much one off, like submitting my taxes. So yeah, I'd say if anything, start with your categories, and then after we have the categories, Nia, Barnia, you can move to the next slide.
yeah. While you talked about the future self, I just invite folks to consider oftentimes we think about our future self as if that future is so far away and we're so far from it. I just invite you to consider that you decided to be here or watch this right now. And there was something that was pressing on your mind that inspired you to register, inspired you to show up, inspired you to even watch it later because you might have bookmarked this so that you could come back to it. Consider that that thing that is gnawing at you that said, I want to move forward is accessible to you even now, should you decide to be, do, or show up differently. So I'm just inviting you to consider that you're not that far from your future. What if your future began right now? Simply by being here, doing this exercise, putting that thing at your forefront so you're paying attention to it, and then allow yourself to accept that that future is accessible and with you even now. So, all right, Nonia.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned that because I do think what this represents is this can be both about representing those big, super passionate goals, the things that are super ambitious. And it can, I think part of thinking about this as a fulfilling life is like, and it can represent having some smaller items that, like, if my future me wants to both, you know, buy a business and at the same time still have time to volunteer, that you can put that on the same card. And that you can have these like really big goals for your life, but you can also say, well, a fulfilling life is being well rounded. So having fun or going on a vacation or finding my new holy grail candle scent can also be on the same card. And I think the like 25 can seem like a lot, but it's actually representing that there's going to be some that might represent this future you, and some that represent that, like, I'm going to hold balance for multiple areas of my life, and that is what fulfillment looks like. Alongside of that, I think it's important to manage. What we're going to do is we are going to intentionally have some that are easier to accomplish and some that are more ambitious.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is bingo. There's multiple ways to win here. There is not just one way to win life.
Mm.
And because of that, and when I mentioned that we want to build in that continual reinforcement, having some of the items that are more delightful, having some of the items that are easier to accomplish, the areas that we have more agency on, all of those actually are reinforcement for the bigger items. So like it's definitely consider having a mix. Um, I'd say if anything is like I created this card, and there were some things that I knew would be later in the year, or hey, this is going to take some time. I'm not going to get to advanced beginner in tennis overnight. Um, I was like, I actually have to sign up for a
You
class.
mean you actually have to practice?
I have to practice. Um, but there were some things on here where it was like, okay, I can do some of these in the next week.
Mm,
And so again, that think about like having this diversity of some that, for example, one of mine was give or donate 10 things in my house. I have some clutter to clear out.
mhm,
And that was one of the items that was like, it was easy, I could start that right away. So um, the diversity of easier and more ambitious items is there to help you. Um, so brainstorm your items. I've been talking so that y'all can be filling out your list as we go. And Farnia, please keep me honest on time.
yeah, no, we're doing good. And I was filling out my list before I came here. I had the opportunity to even update my sheet. What I really, really enjoy about this is that it does give you lots of flexibility. I mean, this is I don't want to call it a report card because report card feels like punitive. It's a bingo card. It is you get to play more fully at life.
Yeah,
Professionally, you get to be whatever right now. Like, what is that vision of where you might land by the end of this year? What are those things that you are totally able to do if you just think about what you want? Like, so
yeah,
many times we don't give ourselves permission to even ask what we want. Like, what is it that you're actually working towards? Not what you've been handed, like not the goals that you've been handed, but what is it that you're actually working towards? Like, if you were to elevate yourself and look at the direction you're moving in and reset your own GPS, where would you land? Not where someone else's GPS is sending you. And that's what this allows you to do. No one has to see your bingo card. No one has to see your bingo card. We're doing this together because we know about the benefits of shared accountability, but no one has to see your bingo card. This is navigating you towards that direction that you uniquely get to set yourself. So if there's one thing that you can think about, this is you took this time you gave yourself the gift, giving to get, right? That's what we're talking about, right? Wait, that is what this International Women's Day is about. Give to gain. You're giving yourself this time so you can gain momentum. You can gain speed on wherever you're going.
yeah. If anyone's feeling challenged with the 25 items, I would also offer you can use something like a wild card, where maybe you put a couple of goals all on as like a wild card slot, and it's like if I get through this item, it almost kind of represents the like if I do this one in different orders, maybe it's read 6 books or do 10 squats, and you can move that in multiple places in the board. Again, this is it. This is a bingo card. I'd say I invite you to bring some creativity if you're really struggling with the 25 items. Yeah, maybe it's having a couple of slots where you can break down your goals, or maybe it's having something like a wild card position where you can kind of move it around. You can have that represent multiple slots on the board, so it doesn't have to represent just one slot on the board. This, I'd say, if anything, feel free to inject some creativity into this. But overall, I'd say there's a lot of value of having a lot of items, and don't get if you're really struggling with the 25. Yeah, there's different ways we could play with some of the slots so this still feels fun. Um,
And I'll plant some seeds on ideas again. This live stream had been on my bucket list for a long time. And it was a bucket list not because I just wanted to play around with LinkedIn, but I thought it was an incredible medium to reach people and to actually access information and to share information.
yep.
So that I would have never even thought to do this now if it had not been for this framework. A couple other things that made it to was writing. Like I used to write all the time and then I just haven't had the time for it. So I put that on there. Like I want to write. So what do I
Yeah.
want to write and how long do I want to write? I'm just planting these seeds and I invite you guys, if you're out there and there's something that came up for you, to drop that in the chat. Drop it in the
Yeah.
chat because there might be somebody else struggling with what they want to do this year. I used to run a lot and I'm like, okay, well, I'd like to do that again. I had surgery, I came back from that, and I totally want to get my body where it used to be. So I put a little tiny micro milestone on there on my card to say where I wanted to be with my wellness. Professionally, what are those things? What are those big and small moves that you might want to make? Maybe it's just have lunch with your team member. Maybe
Yeah.
you just have lunch with a colleague because you work from home all the time and you want to get out of the house and not see the four walls of the room that you work in every day. Consider those things, big and small. Everything is invited here because everything is part of you. All of this is part of you. And when one thing is not moving in the right direction, then chances are you're not feeling that great. So,
Absolutely. Well, let's go on to step 3. Um, after you have your list of items. Oh, thank you. I just saw your comment there in the chat. Yeah, so our step 3 is we're gonna place our items on the bingo card. Again, this is 5 by 5. Um, First I say, like, it's in your favor to randomize the items.
mm,
Um, so for example, like for me, I was like, I'll start with a couple categories and just drop one in each row. I basically just kind of went in like a diagonal order for a couple of the rows and for a couple of my categories. And I say it's in your favor to randomize the items so that what that offers is you can only win by completing items across multiple categories.
mm,
And what this opens up is, yeah, this is different than if we were just to step back and say, what does it mean to win at life, a fulfilling representation of igniting our goals and living who we want to be? That, like, if it was just about taking one small, like one category in life and only that one category won and nothing else, that chances are that doesn't really represent the fullness of who we want to be. So, now the good thing with bingo is, like I said, there's multiple ways to win. You can go down, you can do across. There's 2 ways to go diagonal through the middle. You can do 4 corners and the center box. So that's 13 ways to win. And honestly, just accomplishing a lot of these is a win in itself. Accomplishing any single box is a mini win. Again, like we're all in it. So
we're setting ourselves up for success. There are 13 ways to win. Actually, anytime you complete one of these things, that's a win. So
it
I'm just
does
going to
feel like
acknowledge that.
a win, yeah. And so alongside of that, the, like, randomizing, so it's not just about one category, and again, yeah, and then what you're also gonna have a mix of is then you'll have, this randomization of both the easier things and the harder things. You're gonna have this randomization across categories, and all of those in a lot of ways, yeah, it's motivating. Going
I
back
love
to
that
this,
you said
yeah.
mix it up. Why? Because our propensity, our natural propensity is going to be to put all of those things that you know you can do already in the same spot so that you win really easily. I like the idea of introducing balance and or harmony into your life because you're mixing it up. Like everything is
Yeah,
everywhere. Hmm.
I will add to this that, like, I know there's a lot of really ambitious folks here,
Oh yeah.
um, and the power of the bingo card that puts something like, in my case, it was like fall in love, buy a second property, these things that are big, and I don't actually know how I don't have all the steps laid out, and puts that next to, like, go see a cardiologist and do my taxes on time. There's a lot of beauty
Mm.
in that, like, all of those are a win. If I do If I can schedule that cardiologist appointment today and I can go on a great date with a lovely gentleman tomorrow, like that every piece of that is a win, that it democratizes, that like winning is both these small things, it's both the progression of big things, that all of these are equal, everything is effectively one box on the card. And so I just say that because I think a lot of times when we think about just the big things as feeling like wins, sometimes we lose sight that like all of the progress matters, all of it matters.
All of it
Um,
matters. Now, Noni, like as you're talking about things that are both personal, and I know because I had the privilege of seeing your card. That's what actually inspired all of this. That you were in the midst of buying a business, and a lot of people who might be here are high performers, and they're pioneering. They're doing things for the first time, so there's a lot of risk. And even though there's a lot of risk, they probably feel more comfortable with those things that have higher risk than some of those smaller things, like just schedule the appointment with the cardiologist, just
yeah.
call the person to come to their house. What would you say about that?
Um,
Like the hard things that, again, you're leaning into maybe, and those other things that might be small, but you just keep deferring the conversation
yeah.
with your child, you know?
Yeah, I think that I keep going back to this, like, what is this life of a fulfilling you? What does it
Mhm,
really look like? That like even if you're saying, "Hey, I do want these big goals and I still want to be able to thrive in my relationships, to be involved in my community, to have good experiences." Like I don't want to just have the achievements and left the rest of my life in shatters. I don't want to um you know buy the business and lose out on my friendships
mhm,
or miss out on happy moments or feel good about myself, and feel good about my health. I
mhm,
don't want to only have the achievement and the goals at the expense of these other things, and that might seem seemingly small in comparison in size or ambitiousness, but again, this is about fulfillment, um, of uh, the we're stepping into the new identity, and that being able, I don't want to use the term that I think often comes to mind of the having it all, but I
mhm,
do think that this like what is the fulfillment of this new identity? And if
mhm.
you're saying I want to maintain my health while also um, achieving this goal, then having both of those on this, I think really represents that.
Yeah.
I would add that like I did this as the like 5 by 5 table as just my framework, but do whatever makes this fun for you. If you want this to be more like vision boardy and add pictures, if you want to make this something where you add in, kind of more advent calendar style, and it's got like affirmations or I mean, pieces of candy or like whatever. If you want to do this on poster board, if poster board isn't the framework and you want something that is more tech or more as I don't know, a 3D or whatever, I'd say
Mhm.
like this is about what it inspires and makes it fun for you. I personally am like less of the visual person, so but I have seen versions that have opportunities for you to add pictures of your own life or to add inspirational pictures. So do what feels fun for you. Also, advanced game rules. I mean, if you love playing bingo or if you love playing games and you want to add in some, triple word scores, or, if I do two in this order, um, I'd say yes. Yes, yes, yes. Do whatever works for you.
Yeah. So I one of the things that I was thinking about as I was creating mine was, okay, how am I going to celebrate each one of these things? And I didn't have to have like a fancy celebration, but what was something really, really small that might inspire me to keep on moving and like not just do the check mark, like check it off. Again, I mine is perfectly rough and just not, you know, just written, handwritten. Um, and what I thought about was I can incentivize myself simply by saying, okay, I get to do that thing, or I get to, watch this thing, or whatever it is that makes you happy. Whatever it is, a small celebration. Not that you have to go above and beyond, buy a ticket to somewhere, but what is the small celebration that you might have? When we think about the four pillars of progressive performance, we talk about this a lot at the Lenserf Group. We call it leadership COGS. We call it COGS. So celebrate. What are those things you take ownership for? Where are you stuck and where can you stretch? And you get to put all of that on this card and make it fun so that you can celebrate more often and you're more apt to keep on going when you're celebrating more often.
Absolutely. I see a question here in the chat. Recommended time frame. I did this. I started my board and I did it for representing all of 2026. And I did not start it at the beginning of the year. I'd say it was at like the end of January. So um, I would say, if anything, in terms of like what's ideal time frame, um, I think this might be a bit harder if you were doing this for a month or less,
Mm,
just given the number of items that are on it. I won't say no, don't do it, but I think it would be substantially harder if it was for a month or less. I think that having a larger amount of time, it doesn't need to be specifically for a calendar year. I could totally see this working for like if you wanted to do it for a quarter, or
mhm.
if it's more or if it's less time bound, if you were just like, hey, for this chapter of my life from, now until I don't know, I move into it to another city. Maybe it's not actually based on an exact specific date. Maybe it's supposed to represent, from now until I start my next job, you know.
Mm.
So it doesn't necessarily need to be about a specific amount of time.
What
Um,
what I might invite into that part of determining the time frame is this. When we're working on things, any one goal is comprised of a bunch of micro steps that add up to achieving that goal. So if you're working on something, then and you get it done, how about just crossing that off and replacing it with the next micro step that gets you even further with that goal? So I invite you not just to put the big, big, big final, final, final that takes 6 years to get to, put those micro steps so you can constantly celebrate and you're really just holding the place for wherever you're going. You get to add on to what you're able to access because you did this series of things. So I just invite you to consider that. Like, if you cross something off and you keep crossing off, just what's the next micro step that might further your interest in that thing?
yeah, I would add that, like, I when I created this, I had some things that were intentionally I did a swing big category. So there were some things that were very intentionally, I don't know how I will accomplish this in a year, but I want it
Hmm.
and I'm gonna ask for it. Like some items I had, it was like this. I know I can schedule this doctor's appointment within a year, and there were some that I was like, I actually don't know if I can. But I was like, it represented a fulfilling year for me, so I put it on there. Um, and again, the card kind of democratizes all of those. So I don't think that you need to start with time frame first. Um, I definitely think it can be a helpful way of thinking about this, of like, what does a fulfilling summer look like for you? What does a if this is a specific chapter in your life, you're thinking about maybe transitioning a career, or maybe it is about, these are all the things I want and in this calendar year or whatever, you can do that. But also it's okay to have some things that are like, you know what, this might involve a little extra ambition,
Elbow grease.
several prayers and maybe a handful of miracles. Okay, let's just put it on there. Just put it on there. And yeah, don't I would say that a lot of the items now, when we think about bingo card of like, what does it take to know if I did this or not? I'd say generally there are some. I would say a lot of these items you will find become what we think about as typically SMART goals, like
Mhm.
meaning I know if I achieved this or I didn't. Um, and also, I think it's okay to have some where it's like maybe, yeah. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing the visual again. A lot of these, you'll know if you achieved it or not. You want to know, you can mark it off. You want to cut out any confusion, or we don't want to necessarily just have vibes. I guess as they say. So like having somewhere is like, I know if I got to advanced beginner in tennis. I'll know because the instructor will tell me, you're ready to go to advanced beginner. I'll, but it's not necessary. Even with that tennis example, I actually don't know how many beginner classes I'll need to do in order to get to advanced beginner. So while I'll know when I can mark it off, I don't actually know, hey, maybe it'll take me a little bit longer, and that's okay. So, yeah, thank you, Don. Yeah, it's for the big swings, for the big goals in our life. It's I think if anything, it's good to have them on there. It's good
Yeah.
to have them on there, and you don't have to know all the steps that it'll take to accomplish them, and that's fine.
No, you don't have to know the steps. Like that's the stretch. And what we know is that when you're feeling the stretch, oftentimes that's an opportunity for you to grow. And just like I say, in those periods of discomfort, that's when we're growing the most.
Absolutely.
And I also invite folks to consider this. If you're looking or you're struggling to come up with 25 or 24, again, you have these wild cards that you can use as well. You're struggling to come up with that. Consider some things like who might need to, I might have to invite into my space in order to support me along the way. And that can be another goal. Who have I not talked to when I passed in the hallway at work? And I'd really like to get on their calendar because they can really help me with something.
Yeah.
Consider like just sending an email saying, hello, I'd love to talk to you for 15 minutes and putting that on your card. Who are those people around you that you haven't leaned on because maybe oh, I can do it myself. I don't want to involve anyone because I'm scared, or there might be something else going on for you that's keeping you from engaging in with organizations or with individuals that can support you on your journey. And I consider adding that to your card as well.
Yep. Absolutely. I think we might have one more slide.
All right, hold on a second.
Oh yes, play and win. All right. Once you have your card, I'd say, yeah, we want to celebrate each box. Celebrate, like I am. I feel like what has been really powerful is this, like mark the date. For me is like, hallelujah! I cleared out 10 items from my house. I gave them away to folks in my neighborhood. Celebrate each box. If you want to take a picture of those and just commemorate it in any way. I won every box. You say I won. And again, that is part of like programming, reinforcing that we are winning. We are reinforcing it every single time we play. um this is great to do with friends. I have set it up with some friends. I said, look, if y'all win your bingo cards, I've got prizes for myself. um and then I have some prizes for my friends who are playing with me.
Mhm.
If they win, I have some prizes for them. So you can make this interactive. I like it that, in a lot of ways, like even with sharing this with friends, um, you can set up prizes or maybe some like joint pool. But ultimately, like you're playing with, this is your card. You are
Yes.
playing your life. So, um, So yeah, keep that in mind. You're creating your own card, so you can choose how difficult or easy you want that to be. But consider some ways that maybe you want to play with people that you care about. If you want to post this publicly, feel free to do that. Having incentives and prizes, again, this is part of rewiring your brain. So for me, it was like, okay, I have a couple of these that like, if I accomplish them, I'm gonna get that new scented candle that I super want. Like it's that is a small thing to get, but it's also something that again just adds delight to the process of this new more fulfilling year for my life. And think about, just take a time to look in the mirror and say, think about like, what are the things that motivate you? What are
Mhm.
the things that inspire you to want to win? And if that's sharing, if that's strategizing, if it's prizes, if it's affirmations, take that and build that into your bingo card.
So I just saw a question. It said, what is one thing that most people won't do after an activation like this? And how should we make sure that no one watching this becomes that person? And to that, I'll say one of the things that we know is that after people get insight, after they're like, oh, I can win, I can do this, they oftentimes don't take action. They don't take action, and not because they don't really want to, or not because they weren't really inspired by the thing, but oftentimes they don't take action because there's fear, because of homeostasis. You're used to not doing those things, so you're not going to necessarily change your habits. Habit formation, habit changes can be difficult sometimes. And what we also know is that people are 500% more likely to achieve their goals when they do so with good company. So, like to this, Nona, you were talking about winning and how we can activate the win. I wanted to announce that we have Ignite circles that are actually starting. They're starting next week. And those Ignite circles are going to be 12 weeks of accountability. So we're inviting folks to like when you're with good company, you get there sooner. You get those things done sooner. And it's not about getting more, 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 more. It's just directing yourself in the direction that you want to go. Nona, through this whole conversation today, what you've outlined for us is how to make it easy, how to make it
Yeah.
easy, how to make it fun so we keep on going. So you've really created an amazing framework that makes things simple. Again, I have just got a random sheet of paper here and I was using this. I put it next to my monitor. When I came in the morning, I looked at it. I
Yep.
had the opportunity just to look at it. It was front and center. I was reorienting myself at the top of my day every day, and I was feeling that momentum. And
Yeah.
what we want is people to continue to feel that momentum. So I'm offering these Ignite circles and the just to the give, right? Like that's a give to gain. I am giving away a membership to the Ignite Circle. So if you are here today, someone today, I don't know if someone is able to share two of their goals in the chat, two of the things that they're working towards, I am happy to give away a complimentary admission into our Ignite circles. For others, you are welcome to join us as well. Again, this is 12 weeks. We are going to be celebrating regular. I mean, I like to party. I enjoy celebration, right?
Yeah.
We're going to make it accessible. We're going to have accountability, and you're going to experience micro movement. So
Absolutely.
I'd love to see. We had some people here, so see if somebody might drop that in the chat. For other people, I can offer you a discount code because give to gain, and I welcome you to join us.
I love this. And yeah, I mean, you could certainly create a bingo card that's around the 12 weeks, but also, yeah, even if your bingo card is for the whole, for a longer amount of time or a whole year, and you want to use these Ignite circles to help you accomplish that, that is great. Dawn, to your question, um, what comes to mind for me is that look at your card, say what are one what are a couple items that I can get started with this week. And maybe it's not about finishing this week, but where can you get started this week? What are some of the ones where it's like, in the next 2 weeks, I can get this done? And also, what are ones where like, I know this is hard? Maybe there's a handful that feel really difficult. And I think, particularly, using something like the Ignite circles or accountability groups um, to support with those large ones, but also know where can you get started, and what are some that you can make quick progress with, or quicker progress with. Again, I think that's part of setting ourselves up to win, to have more.
Mhm.
Ooh, I love this. Reduce your
All right.
office stuff by 10%. I love that. That is one, is like, let's,
Lisa, you're in. I saw that.
yeah. I mean, and that's such a good one, because it's like, uh, as someone who also had a decluttering goal, it's like, I know this won't take a long amount of time, but I also know that I was putting it off for a little bit. Yeah, so those are great for, just again, this is like, let's set ourselves up for, Lisa, I'm gonna call it out there. You already won. You
Yeah, Lisa,
already
you
won.
won. Like but you know what? I love because Lisa's focused. She's like, I'm getting this done, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna get it done in 12 weeks. Carrie,
Yep.
I see you too. Carrie, I have a discount code for you. So
I
know
love
that.
this. I
Yeah.
love this. Being a speaker, oh, this is great. So, yeah, and I think, if anything, the like, that having accountability, whether it's Ignite Circle, whether it's sharing with a friend and just saying, "Hey, here's some really cool things that I'm trying to do this year." Like, putting it out there, of like, there's a lot of ways to build in that celebration, build in the reinforcement. So I'm really excited for y'all. I'm really excited. I'm excited about the winning that you guys are already in progress to making. And I know we only have a few more minutes, so I'll say, certainly feel free to reach out to me. I am the only Nonya Collier on LinkedIn, I promise you. Um, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And Farney, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah. So what I'm just gonna do is take this down and put our bingo back.
Mhm.
Thank you guys for joining today. Again, there's something that inspired you to register for this session, and it wasn't just an invitation. There was something that inspired you. I want you to think about that, and I want you to consider how you might ignite it. You don't have to join our circles. You're welcome to join the circle. However, you don't have to. If you decided to come here or to watch this, know that there's something eating away at you because you know there's another level of performance that you can achieve and something is standing in your way. We've presented this framework not to add one more thing for you to do, but to make it easy to feel victory more consistently. So many times, people in my ecosystem tend to be very, very high performers, and high performers don't like to feel wrong. So sometimes when they're about to feel wrong, they just decide not to do. Why? Because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to regress. They don't want to feel like they're starting again. That's not always a good feeling. This framework makes it levels the playing field and it makes it easy. Those things that you've been putting off, those connections with your family. I was so happy that Nonia connected this directly to a lot of personal things that we put on pause. This allows you to unpause. So please just consider you were here. Use your card. How are you going to keep this alive for yourself? Where are you going to put it? How will you look at it? How often will you lean into it? Because doing that is what's going to make all of this like magic. You'll start to see things catch fire and
Mm.
you will feel a shift. So I want to thank you, Nonia, for being here with us. I want to thank you for offering us this gift because I know I've gained a lot in just the few weeks since I've seen it. And I'm sure that people out there have as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you, Nonia. Can we just, celebrate her for making this easy for us? Thank you, Nonia. And thank you all for joining today. Feel free to connect. We'd love to stay connected, and we're about to ignite. So thank you all. Bye for now.
Bye.